Stock markets around the world patiently await the decisions of the central bankers. So today we will discuss why the Federal Reserve can't raise the interest rates. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. I want to get into this information today and connect the dots. So let's begin with this article here. Chase Bank to restrict cash payments on credit cards and loans after restricting cash deposits. This is one example of many. This happens to be out of cleveland.com, but you can see this for yourself in many different ways. I've in fact covered it here before on this channel. What we have is a situation where capital controls are being introduced in the US. In particular, we're seeing that right now, but many people would suggest that, look, this isn't capital controls, I can still use my money, and so on and so forth. If you look back in historical sense here, you will see oftentimes that it happens overnight. There are bank runs, bank holidays, and other real introductions on this. Many times this occurs that way. I do not deny that. However, there are other examples in which this happens in increments, and this is in fact happening right now. They don't want to wake people up. They don't want to really spook anyone, so they're doing it by increment. Look in the political system, how they introduce new laws and regulations, sneak them in completely unrelated bills, and they always do this being done so by increment. They slowly erode our liberty and our sovereignty, and they're doing so very well, all because they're doing so in a long-term plan. This is the type of information that you need to read and look into because it affects you right in your pocketbook. Let's look at this next article here where we're talking about the unemployment rates. I've gone into it many times before. I just want to very briefly touch on it. This is the Washington Post. If you read further up in this article, they suggest that it's a, quote, conspiracy, that if you think that the government is intentionally hiding the unemployment rate. But we know that this is in fact the case because they have two different unemployment rates. One is the U3, one is the U6. The U3 is the one they project through the mainstream media, and the U6 is a slightly more accurate number, and that is basically those individuals who have not been able to find work for a year. They are then pushed off the numbers. That's what the U3 is. The U6 includes those people. So a much more accurate number there. And what we need to really look at is the participation rate. So with the participation rate, we are able to see how many people are actually in the labor force. And we can see that we are at decades low right now. This is very dangerous, and unemployment is a big problem throughout many, many countries. Even the Federal Reserve has acknowledged that the employment rate is not where it should be. So I'm going to move on quickly as I do discuss this quite often. This is the big news for today where I want to really stress this. Governments of states like Illinois and countries like Brazil face interest rates they increasingly can't afford because slower economic growth limits tax revenues. Okay, so hold on to that thought for a moment. If the Fed pushes up interest rates on the US Treasuries, those become even more attractive than state and foreign securities. Nations like Italy and Spain would then have to offer higher rates, making their debt more burdensome. Recovering from bailouts, those could quickly become basket cases like Greece. I totally agree with this because this is just the way that it's been going recently. When you drop the interest rates down all the way, sure, money can flow out and you can have a system that continues to run. But what in the world are they doing leaving the interest rates this low for this long? Well, they're trapped. They're stuck. They have to. And that's the situation that we have run into right now, where a rising of the interest rates will collapse the economies. Now, before I get into my conclusion, I really want to hold off on that until the end, but let me just get into this from my book, where we're talking about rising interest rates will mean slower growth in the economy because less people are borrowing money and spending. Governments would have to pay more on the interest payments on their national debt, resulting in increased taxes. Ben Bernanke said that a loss of investor confidence could potentially raise interest rates. This will make it harder to reduce the deficit. This is exactly the point I was trying to make with the previous article as well, because we have really this situation presented to us where they need to raise interest rates for certain reasons, but they can't raise interest rates for other reasons. So they're really in this terrible scenario that they can't get out of. So what are they going to do? Well, they could simply raise the interest rates in very slow increments and see how the market reacts. Now, the initial suggestion was that they would do this in the summer when the Federal Reserve meets up, and they would, in fact, raise interest rates slightly. That was the general consensus between the analysts and the economists out there. However, they've been suggesting more recently, because of course every day there's something new, that they will not, in fact, raise interest rates in this time right now. You have to remember that they have interest rates now for many years at this 0%. They have also introduced trillions of QE into the system. At this point, the economy cannot be sustained with even bringing the interest rates up just a little bit. What does this tell you about the real economy? Forget about the US dollar. Forget about the S&P and the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ and all of these other stock markets. Look at the real indicators. Well, if you don't think that keeping interest rates for this low this long is a problem, why don't they just perpetually keep them low? Well, obviously, those people on this channel know the reasons why you can't do that. Now, I have to move on very quickly here because I am running short of time. I really do respect your time, so I try to keep the videos down to 10 minutes, but you know how I like to ramble on. How the fall of Gaddafi gave rise to Europe's migrant crisis. So this is a little different scenario that we have, but I want to really branch off into this for a moment and just suggest to you that our taxpayer dollars are going into the most wasteful things when our economies are hurting. Look at this situation here where you have a war that breaks out in Libya, and it wasn't just the US that had any involvement here. It's not just Al-Qaeda. What we have here is all of the Western nations going in. They bombed Libya, they introduce a new government, they take out Gaddafi, and then what happens is you have the rise of Al-Qaeda and ISIS or Islamic State or the Caliphate or any what they call themselves today. And what has happened here is that they've been rising. So, of course, the people there are in fear, so they're fleeing. One of the closest places they can flee to is Italy. Once they get to Italy, oftentimes they are offered the free healthcare. They get their refugee status, and they are housed there and really taken in as a refugee. And, of course, you know, we have to sort of take care of them as we can, but that would be all fine and dandy if the economy was doing well and prosperous. But Italy, one nation as an example, has their own problems to deal with, massive levels of unemployment. We have really the economy hurting and suffering right now, and many indicators that are shown that. And this isn't the best time to be taking in tens of thousands of new migrants all the time. This is a real problem, all stemming from the West bombing Africa, bombing the Middle East. This is what really goes to show you how it is our own problem that is doing this. Health law brings growth in food stamps in some states. In fact, Obamacare has expanded the food stamp program. This is out of ABC, and we're talking about the new streamlined application systems built for healthcare overhaul are making it easier for people to enroll in government benefit programs, including insurance coverage and food stamps. What we have is a situation where people are basically taking what they can get. And can you blame them? Anyone would take something for free if they were given it, but here the food stamps are given out really to anyone who's willing to accept them, and we are nearing this 50 million mark, and it has been over, I believe the statistic is 46 or 47 million now for such a significant amount of time, many years in fact, that such a high percentage of the population are needing food stamps, and that's the numbers that the government is willing to admit on the SNAP program. Who knows what the actual numbers are, but even using their own numbers, it is so shocking, and this is a program that is expanding. Is it fair to deny fat patients and smokers surgery on the NHS? Joint replacements and IVF could be rationed to save money. And that's the important thing I want to mention today. We're looking here out of the Daily Mail. This is news that is really presented in other countries as well, not just the UK, not just in Canada, not just in Australia, but we have rationed care. That's the system that occurs. When you want to get an MRI because perhaps you need some surgery, you go and get your MRI, but it takes you 6 months or a year after that to go and get your surgery. While by then, that MRI is no longer valid and you need to get another one. You know, many times, often, if detected early, they could, in fact, prevent certain diseases from spreading, for example, let's say a tumor, but the wait times in certain instances are so bad that they go beyond this point of time. So this is what it is. It's all about rationing the care, rationing the system. When they say it's free healthcare, oftentimes, this is a good system in theory. However, it is rationed care. That's what they're doing. That's the way I see this. And it is unfortunately getting worse. The care, in fact, is becoming more expensive. At the same time, it's actually getting worse. These are statistics that you can read up for yourself. That's all I wanted to get to on this. Let's move on to this right here out of the Washington Examiner. What the USDA is now suggesting, and really this is what I want to get to. I've been doing this for the past couple videos here. Hope you really have noticed this. But we have all these problems that are taking place right now. What are their solutions to this? Well, they have come up with some ridiculous plans, and this is just one of the suggestions that the USDA has. Many products have a sell-by date of, say, April 1st, but they could be good in your pantry for another 12 to 18 months. And throwing those out, what you're doing, that's contributing to food waste. You're bad if you throw that piece of food away, if that, it's really not bad. So the best before date might say a certain day, but you know what? You should keep it for a year and a half after that date, and you should consume it by then. They're being too restrictive with their dates. And you know what? The truth is, maybe they are. But do you want to trust that? Do you want to eat food that has sat on the shelf for a considerable amount of time? We shouldn't even be eating these foods that should be sitting on the shelf for years and years on end. Never mind keeping it for an extra 18 months after the company who's selling you the product is suggesting. This is what they do. They always create this real terrible suggestions that they have for the public, and they're never in the public's interest. Let's move on to this last article here that is actually some positive news for once. Comer contends that the Bank of Canada, a publicly owned national financial institution created in the Great Depression, is mandated to provide debt-free support for public projects undertaken by federal, provincial, and city governments. Not doing so has deprived Canadians of the benefit of larger infrastructure investments. There is a lawsuit that is taking place right now by, spearheaded, I should say, by Comer and also the Rocco Galati, who is the lawyer involved in this, and he's taking this on right here. And this is a very, very positive thing that is happening. Among other arguments in the court submission, the group alleges Canada ceded its sovereign ability to conduct independent monetary policy to the, quote, secret deliberations and control of private foreign bankers. Now, of course, if you suggest this is nothing but a conspiracy. But when you just look into it and you actually read the history, you'll know that this is all public. It is out there. It isn't just the Federal Reserve. It is all central banks around the world. They were practically set up all within the same amount of time, and there's no doubt about that. We look at this and we realize, who does the central bank actually benefit? Well, in every single case historically, since their grand opening, these central banks have really benefited no other people but the elite. They never once have benefited the individual. If they wanted to benefit the individual, why wouldn't they just print the money and give it to that person? Why give it to another commercial bank who then uses it to the CEO, gives it to the CEO bonuses? They have their luxury yachts that they purchase and all of the other silliness, and we see the squandering that has taken place. That's what a central bank is for. It has no reason to print the money in secrecy, with absolutely no transparency, and any time they want any little bit of transparency, like when the government asked the central bank, let us know who you gave these trillions of dollars to. And they said no. They looked them in the eye and said no. That's why this is such a terrible scheme that has been taking place for all of these years and is only getting worse. They are not lifting off of this at all. Another way, and all I wanted to get to was, there is some positive news out there. This may flop, nothing may come of this, but at least it's bringing it out into the media attention. What we need to understand about the interest rates is that, and this is what I want to conclude with, I'm running on here, but just stay with me for a moment. The interest rates may in fact rise. Now, just a moment ago, I said that they can't raise the interest rates. Well, of course, they can't raise the interest rates if they want to keep the economy moving. But historically, which has happened many times before, they institute a crash intentionally. Why? Because they're there with all of their real assets already. They crash the system down to a certain point and they buy it all up from pennies, 4 pennies on the dollar, when they know that they've shaken out everybody, all of these weak investors, all of those who own their paper assets. They have done it before. They will do it again, and this could very well happen in the near future. Remember that this is a warning. If you want to prepare, there are so many videos that I have on here, and basically what you want to do is own real assets. I'm doing an e-course, and you could see the beginnings of that at the main channel page of my main channel page on YouTube. If you scroll down, you'll see e-course, and on there, really breaking it down for everybody into the most simple. I'm going to get into every single detail that I can to make this available for people for free to understand what's happening in the economy. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like my content, please give me a thumbs up every single time. I appreciate that very much. Please try and share these videos with your family and friends. Do what you can to support me, but not just me, but other alternative news. In fact, become an alternative news on your own. You need to spread the word and do what you can. Perhaps you are into radio, or you want to do a YouTube channel, or you want to do a blog or a newsletter. You need to be there to do what you can in the best way that you can do it. Use the skills that you have to awaken the public. Perhaps you just want to do it for a few friends or a few family members. Do that. Anything that you can do will bring up everyone. Last but not least, don't forget to become an insider. It's where I give out all my best intel for free, and that is available at themoneygps.com. All you have to do is scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info. Those of you who have stayed to the end, I just wanted to let you know that the Insiders is actually approaching its maximum. We're heading towards 2,500 people on the Insiders, and at this point it is it's very hard for me to keep it going and to allow it to expand, because they charge a lot more money to expand it. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do here at this point, but I just wanted to let you know that. Take care.